Hi, this is iYikKam time again. So recently I have received many email and messages from a Wing Chun friend asking me why is it necessary to upgrade to the momentum base and the 4 momentum zone base. Now, this is extremely critical and this is no joke, okay? Momentum is the base of fighting. We like it or not, momentum is the base of fighting. It is dynamic, moving, physical object. Okay? So if we do not base on momentum, we are not being realistic. Okay? And momentum cannot be described by tan bong fo or your geometry or your forward pressure. Momentum is much beyond the tan bong fo or your center line or your structure or forward pressure, those kind of stuff. Look at momentum, okay? It's huge, vast, okay? So it got to go to momentum base in order to study a realistic martial arts. Now, the 4 momentum zone, that is a must, because the 4 momentum zone is the benchmark and also is the standard reference for us to know ourselves and know the opponent. Without knowing the 4 momentum zone, it is a kiss of death and living in fantasy. Okay? So again, the momentum zone, the first one is the long fist zone. Okay? The second is the short strike, sticking body zone. The third one is the takedown zone. The fourth one is the ground fighting zone. Okay? Now, why it is a benchmark and why it is a standard reference for us to know our competitor and ourselves? Simple. The first, for example, the long fist momentum zone, it has its way to play the games in the long fist zone or the zone 1. It has its mechanics, and its mechanics is supported by physics and biomechanics. Okay? So again, you have 4 momentum zones, and every momentum zone has its way of playing the game of momentum. And within that, you have the mechanics, and the mechanics has to accord to physics and biomechanics. That is the bottom line. Okay? So you know the 4 zone, you know every zone clearly. And you know, do you cover the 4 zone in your training? And also you know, do the opponent cover their 4 zone, or how many zones they cover in their training? By that, you have a benchmark, really clear. The second thing is, very important, martial arts is characterized by the pattern of the zone transfer. Okay? So martial arts, different style is characterized by its zone switching or transfer. Okay? For example, Wing Chun is a sticking body short strike. So it is, the expertise is in the zone 2 or the sticking body zone. And it can go down to the 3rd zone, okay, which is its expertise. So it has its mechanics, okay, it has its way of play the momentum, okay. Now, of course, it's going to cover the 4 zone if it is a complete art. If a Wing Chun is a complete trained Wing Chun, it knows the 4 zone, and then it specialized or expert in the close party zone. Okay, now it be able to play between the, say, the first zone to the second zone. Okay, and in fact, in Wing Chun the pattern is it starts as first zone, usually as general, and then the Wing Chuner want to get you into the second zone because that is their killing field. Now, some other art, like grappling art, want to get you right away from first zone to the third zone and get you down to the ground, and their killing zone is at ground. So you see all these different art have different pattern, and some art is like they want you to stay in the long fist zone because that is their expertise. So when one know the four momentum zone, one can recognize the pattern of a certain style and also the person's pattern. Oh, this guy is good at the long fist zone. Oh, this guy is very good at switching between the long fist zone and the second second zone. So all this knowing the four momentum zone, be able for one to very clearly see what happened in each zone and how is the switching or the changing from or shifting from one zone to the other. And by knowing the pattern of the changing or shifting from one zone to the other, one knows the signature of that particular art or that particular person. Only you know the details of how that person or that type of a martial art play in the different zone of the four zone and how it switch. We can counter it. If we have no idea there's four zones, we go in and say, oh yeah, straight punch. Well, what is straight punch? Is that first zone, second zone, third zone, fourth zone? It's a case of that. We don't have idea of the mechanics. We don't have idea of how people will switch zone at us. Okay? So that's how serious it is for this four zone, four momentum zone is needed as a benchmark and a standard reference. Otherwise, we don't know what we are doing. We don't know what other people is doing. We don't even know what's going on. We might think, oh yeah, I'm fast. I can punch you. I can kick you. I can take you down. But that is not in depth enough to really master an art or an art. So again, Wing Chun, you need to handle all these four zones in the Wing Chun way. And you need to be expert in the short strike. Okay? And the Wing Chun has its characteristic, the sticking body, meaning that you can stick here so the other person have avoid the other persons to strike me because I'm going close, sticking at him using the advantage of the mechanics. And even in the third zone, I need to stick at him. Okay, or even I take down, I need to stick at him. And also, even if I'm going downward, I'm going to stick at him. I'm going to stick at him and moving. Okay, that is Wing Chun sticking body. Okay, and I can stick down here and I'm using Wing Chun punch here. And then I can move around. Okay, sticking and moving around. So if we don't do it this way, practically we cannot handle what is in the reality of momentum play. And momentum play is the bottom line of fighting in this physical world. Okay? So this is to share with you today. It is a must to upgrade the momentum zone. It is a must to study the 4 zone as what I just present to you, with this mechanics, with this physics behind it, biomechanics behind it, and the characteristics, all kind of things, and how to switch zone and know what happened in details in every zone. And we know how good are we to play in that zone, and how good are we switching zone if needed, or what is our flaw or our opening when we switch to different zone. Forget about techniques 10.4. That is good to serve Wing Chun once upon a time, but that time had passed. Forget about this chi and all this kind of stuff. Because the reality of today is this momentum base. And we need to know the 4 zone because there's a benchmark. Otherwise, we are clueless on what we are doing or what we are training or what we are facing. So this is for you today.